All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Darkest Dungeon 2. I'm doing something a little bit different today. I'm going to try doing an offline run, just so that way we don't have all the stream stuff going on. I want to see how this works for YouTube, and this way I can kind of do some more dedicated challenge runs or just some things that I really want to give a shot. So if this is something you like, do make sure to leave a like on the video. And if you have some ideas for runs that you would like to see, things you'd like me to do make sure to leave a comment about that as well. I'm gonna try to edit this video down a little bit so it's not the full length of the run, but we'll see how it goes. So for this team that we have here today, we have selected the queue, and my plan here is to use the Hateful Pyre. I really want to try a non-healing team that's focused on doing a lot of damage. So here with this team, we do have a lot of solid damage dealers. We have some ways to handle the stress, which is something that we are going to want to mitigate quite a lot, as well as having some tanky enemies up front that do have some self-healing abilities. So we're not going to be reliant on somebody healing them as much as they are just taking care of themselves. I do think that you need a little bit of healing, at least especially on our tanks, but we're definitely going to be trying to find some items that'll help us out. But beyond that, we have no primary healer, nobody that can heal somebody else. So if our highwaymen or our jesters start taking some serious damage here, they're going to be in some trouble. So we're definitely going to be relying on the leper and the man-at-arms to tank as much of that damage as they possibly can. So let's go through our heroes here. We have Baldwin, our leper. He is a Tempest leper, and here is his skill set that we have currently selected for him: Chop, Hew, Revenge, Intimidate, and Solemnity. Of course, this might change as the run goes. For our man-at-arms, we have a Sergeant man-at-arms. I'm going to be playing him in a bit more of a support role than a damage role. We do have Crush, just so he has the ability to potentially heal himself using the combo from the Jester. We also have Bellow, good support ability, Defender to help just soak up some of the damage from the backline if needed, Bolster for that stress heal, and Command to help the leper do that sweet, sweet Tempest damage. Next, we have a Virtuoso Jester. Primary role here is going to be doing some damage and stress healing, as well as maybe some disruption with Echoing March, and of course Encore, just to help us get somebody defended if they need it, or do that last little bit of damage if we need it, whatever the case may be. And our classic, always go back to this. Obviously, I know a lot of people think it's boring. We'll play some different versions of him soon, I swear. But we have the Sharp Shot Highwayman, just a classic, solid damage dealing path. Really good hero here, and just he's going to be probably the guy who's killing the most enemies, and we're definitely going to want to leverage him as much as possible here. So let's go ahead and get into it and start the run. So I said this earlier, but I'm going to be trying to explain my decision-making process with a lot more detail, just because I'm not streaming this, I'm not distracted by chat, and I don't like playing games without hearing the sound of my own voice, so you're going to have to just deal with that. But hopefully this team works. We've tried a Hateful Pyre run before, and it didn't go super well, so we're definitely going to be trying to find a good group here that can really leverage that flame. Definitely means we're going to also be trying to get the flame down so we can actually take advantage of that damage. That does also come at the risk of enemies doing more damage, so that is something we're going to have to worry about here. So taking a look at our turn order, we have our two damage dealers going first here. This Widow's going to be going first, but I can't hit her right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and blind the other one. Good crit to start off there. And then we'll probably just go ahead and eliminate her. Just easier. Generally, I find it's best to just remove threats rather than, you know, I could maybe do a little bit of damage to the back Widow, but then we're taking damage from both of them instead of just forcing one of them to go away. We are blind here, so probably just go with the Intimidate. We get that taunt. So now he's going to be soaking up a lot of that damage, which is really good. And then we'll probably just go for the Bellow. This should slow down the enemies, assuming they don't just resist it. Oh, wow. A good crit to start off the day. Already, oh, we've got Defiant on our Highwayman as well, which is definitely helpful for this particular run that we're choosing to do here. Yeah, it does make a big difference. Jester can't do much from the back there, but we do have a little bit of damage there. We could go for the Daze here, but I think going for the damage here is actually probably a better option. Either way, we're still going to be taking damage from both of them, but at least all of it's going into the leper. He can kind of handle his own, you know, and take care of himself. Probably just do a little bit of damage here. Still doing, you know, decent amount of damage or crush, but does heal for a good amount. We have weakness on, again, making it so that we're not really going to be doing much here. So again, I'll just use the leper as kind of a damage sponge. Better to put all the damage into one person, makes it much easier to heal that way if we do find a way to heal. And of course, we do get the lovely inability to deal damage to the back row here, which is something that this team is maybe going to suffer with a little bit. We'll definitely have to kind of see. You know, Echoing March isn't going to do much from here, so we'll go ahead and blind. Or not. It's good. So good. Always know when the Valley fight doesn't start off super well that it's going to be an interesting rest of the run for sure. Okay, we'll just go ahead and whack here now. Good amount of damage. Fortunately, we still are unable to... We can just go ahead and take the guard tokens, though. At least means that we can hit her quicker. She's survived 4 rounds. This is not a good start, but we'll make it work. Go ahead and... Well, there's our first bit of damage going into somebody that's not the leper. But there we go. There's those big hits that we're looking for of him. 12 damage is very solid. Now we can go ahead and remove the Widow finally. To take a bit of stress damage here, but the stress isn't really a worry, obviously, in the Valley, just because, well, we're going to remove most of it. But we do get a nice little heal there. Our Leper's not looking the best that he should be looking after the Valley, but hey, you know what? That's part of it. Ooh, we do get a minor anchoring charm. This is a really solid beginning charm, especially for this team. The Leper is very positionally dependent, right? He does not do well. Even going back 1 rank, we already lose Intimidate off the bat, right? We lose an ability of his. So the Man at Arms has 140% move resist, but if the Leper does get moved, he can still move the Man at Arms. So this is definitely going to be something we want to throw on him. Even that additional, it's not much, 15%, but keeping our frontliners where we want them to be is going to be especially helpful, especially against things like the Shambler or going to the Shroud, where shuffling is such a problem. It does also line us up for maybe taking on the Leviathan. We do have to kind of consider early on with a team like this what layer boss we'd prefer to take. Right now, I'm thinking that enemies that we can hit from the front ranks are going to be particularly good. So the Leviathan may actually be a decent team for this, because we should probably be able to eliminate the hand fairly quick, and then, you know, focus damage on the Leviathan itself. The Librarian and the General might be a bit difficult for us to get that backline damage, though we could, you know, spam, you know, Bellow and Intimidate to proc the Taproot. So there's options there. They're just not great options. So first thing I always like to do when I get to the inn is just kind of figure out where it is that we're going to be going, right? This gives us a good idea of what our choices are, where we're going to be headed, and what things we should be looking for in the Provisioner. I find a lot of new players go straight to the Provisioner, they start buying stuff, and then they maybe don't set themselves up for the best initial area. If you can set yourselves up for, you know, an early lair boss, which maybe is a bit nerfed now with the Collector, or something along those lines, you can definitely give yourself the best options. Now here we have Blood Moon, which does lower our bleed resist, which is a little bit of a problem in the Tangle. It's not super big of an issue, but it is an issue. Splunk to clear out the lair. Clearing out the lair for 3 candles is obviously not a great reward. We have a fully unlocked altar. So looking like the Shroud, which does have additional chance for the Hoarder, studies, and caches. These are all good things to find, though we're probably going to be a little underfunded for the Hoarder, but everything else could be good. We do get a Moment's Peace, which means that this will automatically scout the Oasis. This is a really powerful tool, is always thinking, hey, if this is going to scout something for us that we want, well, now we know that we're guaranteed to see where the Oasis is. It doesn't mean that we're going to go to it, but at least we know we have that option. And going to the Oasis will also give us a mastery point, and even 1 mastery point is very worth it. Now, the Shroud is obviously a bit scary to take early on, but that is something that I think we can do. It also means it's going to be fairly short, and, you know, if we're going to take on the hardest region, we might as well make it the short region. So we are going to go ahead and look at the torches here. The one that we want to play with today is the Hateful Pyre. So this is going to remove all traveling heal. There will be no heal between fights in the lair, which is very detrimental, especially when you need a lair boss. And at various flame levels, your heroes are going to gain damage and lose healing received. And enemies gain damage, but also can deal knockback. And that actually stacks. As the torch gets lower, enemies can deal like 3 knockback at like pitch black, which is very disruptive. So again, our inability to be moved is very powerful with this team. Almost makes me wish I'd taken a Poet Leper, but I think we should be able to work around his move resist fairly well. There is also maybe some talk about, hey, maybe we should put on Rampart on our mana arms, that way he can move himself back into position, or our Jester should be fine. He can kind of move himself around, but that is something that we may need to think about. Depending on how these fights go, we should always be willing to change our moves on the run. That's something that I always tell new players as well is, hey, you know, if you have selected abilities at the crossroads, you don't need to keep those abilities. You can change them up. You can swap it around. You can adapt and change and do things like that. So keep that in mind. It's always a good thing to worry about. Now, I'm definitely going to go for Inspiring Tune. I always love to upgrade this early. And there is a part of me that really wants to upgrade Take Aim. I'm going to try not to rely on Take Aim too much early on, though. It's definitely powerful, but I think there are better options maybe at this early point in the game. Just kind of have to think about what it is that we want to be doing the most. Now, we could upgrade Chop to lower his chance of getting blind, which is definitely going to be something we want to avoid. This does lower it by 15%, which is pretty good. Like 15% is no joke. You know, Hugh, we could also upgrade for the same thing. We can go ahead and lower the blind chance. We could upgrade his ability to heal. Intimidate doesn't really deserve an upgrade, doesn't really do anything worth our time. We could upgrade Command to remove the cooldown on it, which is definitely something that could work with the Leper, obviously. Bellow being upgraded is also a powerful ability. Removing crit tokens and lowering speed by 5, especially somewhere like the Shroud, can be the difference between a Fishmonger being able to rip you apart or not. But still, maybe not the best option. I don't think we have any like particularly great ones. Something I am considering, though, is Fade to Black, which gives us a combo token on its use, which with our team having a Leper, which he can hit through blind if the target is comboed, I think is going to be pretty powerful, as well as giving our mana arms an ability to heal if we need him to. So I'm going to go with Fade to Black, putting all of our stuff into the Jester. It just works well with the Leper. He's going to be our primary damage dealer, especially up front, and that's something that we want to take advantage of. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Provisioner now. So the next thing I want to kind of figure out is what pet I would like to start off with. So let's take a look at our Stagecoach options, which definitely kind of help me figure out what it is that we want our pets to do, because sometimes you end up with just a great starting set of Stagecoach items, and it can definitely change how you go about doing things. Now, one thing I do notice is we do get the Stew Pot, which is a pretty good item, which can work well with the reanimated rabbit. I don't really care about the max health per food items, but what I do like about the rabbit is the speed. Being able to get up to +4 speed can make a huge difference. I mean, it really can just force your team to go first all the time, which is something that we definitely may need to lean on. Of course, we do also have the medicine chest, which increases stacking for bandages and restorative items. Now, considering that we don't have any really effective ways of healing right now, having something like this that allows us to hoard healing items could be very powerful. And also, the Pick Me Pliskin does allow us to heal for more per medical gear equipped. So we get an additional 10% healing from skills, which can definitely help our Leper and our mana arms out, just kind of negating some of the downsides of this torch, while also allowing us to stack a bunch of things like bandages and adrenaline tonic here that we have, which I think might be a really good start for us. So I'm going to go ahead with the Pliskin. I'm going to go ahead and get the medicine chest. I think this is a great starting Stagecoach for us. It's definitely going to give us a really good, just kind of way around the healing negatives of the Hateful Pyre. The other thing I was going to get is I do see that we have 2 ceremonial drums here. I'm going to slap these bad boys on our Leper, or at least one of them I think would be good. Just makes him almost impossible to move back. And hoarding another one for later in the run when we're probably going to have a lower torchlight, and we're going to have that knockback stacking up on us more often, is going to be good. I could make him immune, and we could possibly go take on the Leviathan. That is something to consider. And you know what? I'm feeling dangerous. Let's go for it. So now we're pretty much Leviathan immune at this point, at least as far as his main gimmick goes. And if we're going to go for the Leviathan, let's go ahead and use this oddly tuned loot as well. This increases our stress resist, which is something that can be very powerful in that fight. So at this point, we've kind of dedicated ourselves to going for the Leviathan. It's a bit scary, but it is always good to try and maybe get yourself some power-ups early on, especially being able to stack additional combat items. If we can get that torch from him, or that that trophy from him, is gonna be really powerful. I'm gonna grab these bandages. I'm gonna grab these adrenaline tonics, and then we're gonna grab whatever food that we can afford here. So apples and cheese, and we can afford 1 stale bread. Unfortunately, somebody will not get to eat. Maybe not the best thing, but we'll go ahead and roll with it. I'm gonna give the apples and cheese to the leper to give him the additional debuff resist, so that way he has a much higher chance of resisting stuff. And we're gonna go ahead and give the jester this. Barriston's still got a good amount of health. I'm not super worried about him. And then what I am going to do right now is I'm going to split these items. And the reason I'm doing this is just so that way we have the ability to use an item on every turn if we wanted to. And I think that's going to be pretty potent here. The other thing we could do is increase somebody's bleed resist. I'm not super worried about that. But and also, I don't think I talked about this yet, but the boss we're going up against is the Act 2 Resentment boss. So... And then we have a little bit of money left. Is there a trinket that we would maybe like to get? We do have Bulwark Band, which is pretty good. Guarding Gauntlet, which can be very good. This would be pretty terrible on the leper, but it would be pretty good on the man-at-arms, or even somebody squishier like our Jester or our Highwayman. This could give him the ability to just kind of self-generate some block tokens, which could be the difference between life or death. Healing skills received. You know what? I'm going to go with the Guardian Gauntlet. We're going to throw this on our Jester. He's pretty squishy. It just gives him the ability to maybe... He's unlikely to miss, you know? So we'll go for it. And, yeah, let's go for it. Going to go ahead for this early Shroud. No relationships here early on. Not worried about that. All right, so here we are in the Shroud. So the first thing I'm going to do is take a look at our map here and just kind of see what our options are. So we're guaranteed to go to the lair no matter what. So that's pretty good. We do also have a hospital right before it. We also have this academic study, which does give a scary song. If you scout academic studies, always make sure that you take a look at what the item is and just start learning what these items can give you. In this case, we can get the Astroglass Flute or the Drone Pipe, I believe, are the 2 options for this. You can also get quirks from pretty much any single one of these. But the trinkets are something a bit more guaranteed. I don't really care for either of those trinkets, so assuming nothing crazy happens or we don't have any money, I'm probably going to go for the hospital. This will allow us to get rid of some of the negative quirks that we have accumulated. Like Head in the Sand is obviously a really bad one. Sickly is not great. Fragile, also not great. So we do need to make sure that we probably go for that hospital if we can. So we want to make sure that we're saving up a little bit of money on the way. The other thing we might want to take a look at here is what we want to do beforehand. I'd like to go for this watchtower. Though that being said, it's really not going to give us too much value, but it does give us speed, which if we're going to go for the Leviathan, speed is going to be useful for us here. This assistance encounter early on doesn't really help us much, so I'm probably going to go this way for the safe route into this unknown, up to the watchtower, and then we'll kind of figure it out from there. So we get that a little bit of additional speed, which is something that we've gotten from unlocking that level at the altar for our stagecoach. So here we have a decision here. 2 people want to go question mark. I generally don't really like listen to these you know, choices that people have unless I know it's going to cause a meltdown, because realistically you're really not going to worry about 1 stress too much on a hero, and you shouldn't worry about it. That if 1 stress is going to make or break your run, you're already in a really bad spot. You should always just take the option that's going to be best for your team. So in this case, wheels, shields, neither of those are going to help us, so we're going to go with food here. This is going to save us money in the long run, especially if it's good food, which it is. We get apples and cheese and stale bread, so we already have 3 out of 4 of our food for the next inn. That's going to save us a lot of money. We don't need to worry about buying any of it now, at least most of it. We might have to buy 1 item, but you know, that's much cheaper than the alternative. So yeah, we're going to go ahead for this watchtower now. Oh, was that a safe route? It was a double safe passage, so kind of lucky there. Some might consider that unlucky if we didn't get a fight, which can give us a little bit of extra money, but it is what it is. We do have a creature den as well. So early creature den is good, can be very scary, but it can also reward us, you know, with a nice amount of mastery points, maybe some cheaper options at the end. So you can see here we're getting that heal from the Pygmy Pliskin. That can just be a really nice, just a little bit of additional healing. I have a gaunt fight here. Unfortunately, we're starting off with that blind. That is not great, but that's okay. So always want to take a look at our turn order here. We can't blind the Widow from back here, but we can try to blind the Lost Soul. And honestly, the Lost Soul is more of a threat because of his ability to deal disease. So we definitely don't want to be getting that. We do have a chance to kill here using our strength token. It's a medium chance of killing here. We could also take a look here. There's no chance of killing here unless we crit. Double tap isn't going to do anything serious here. So I'm just going to go ahead for this and hope that we get the kill. Unfortunately, we did not. So now we're just going to be hoping for the blind to stick. The blind did not stick. That is the way of Darkest Dungeon, though, right? As always, you just want to try and mitigate things as much as you can. So let's go ahead and get this kill. Actually, let's take a look here. What's going to be our better option? We could go for the kill, but he's already taken his turn. We're most likely going to be able to kill him anyway. We really don't need that heal. It's only going to give us 3 healing. What I could go for is the crush and set up our leper for a nice big hit here. 11 to 22 damage. That's very good. So we did roll low end. We're rolling quite a few low ends here, but that is what it is. So there's the protect the child. We kind of knew that was probably going to happen, but that's okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and aim for the Widow. This is going to peel off her guard tokens while also doing damage to the big guy up here. And then I'm going to move myself forward. Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay. So that blind doing its work from head in the sand there. That's not great. We can still hit him with the mana arms, so I guess that's not terrible. But we do have a big hitter here, so I'm going to go ahead and use Intimidate just to give him those weakness tokens, forcing him to hit our leper with a block token and a weakness token. So we're just trying to lower the amount of damage as possible, and we get the heal out of this, so you know what? That's not terrible. Yeah, I'll take 4 damage over 14 any day of the week. Absolutely, that is much less damage. All right, so we obviously have this horror that's causing us some problems, but that's fine. We're gonna go ahead and blind the big guy. And I can't really hit the Widow from back here. She still has the guard tokens, so I could use Encore to double tap. Not double tap, but to use 2 hits with the Highwaymen or something, so we can start getting rid of those guard tokens quicker, but I don't think it's really worth it right now. So not much more I can do here besides maybe guard. I could guard one of our squishy heroes. The only thing she's really gonna be able to do though is apply more horror, which is annoying, but it's not terrible. So let's just go for the crush here. It's not much damage, but it's something. Yeah, and it went into the leper anyway, so I'm really not worried about him taking a bit of stress. It's not the end of the world. Let's go ahead and whack this dude down. And again, this is, you know, weakness tokens and block tokens, they go a very long way, reducing damage by the amount that it does. So really can't complain about that. I'm going to end up using the Jester to try and get the kill here. So let's go ahead and just whack some damage into the Widow. We don't have enough stress to stress heal, but there he goes. Now, we could apply Purge or something, which would maybe be a good idea for this team. One thing I am starting to notice is we have issues with hitting back row enemies like this. When there's corpses on the field, it just makes for some issues. I'm going to use Bellow here just to see if we can get the speed debuff. Just set us up for going early. And then we should be able to get the kill here. So that's that fight done and dusted. Okay, so we do get a trinket out of that. It's not the best trinket in the world, but it is fine. That 3% crit isn't a huge detriment, honestly, especially on heroes that already have a very good crit chance base. But also it can be useful on something like the leper or whatever, where he already has a good amount of health, and this can help him live a little bit longer, especially if they're absorbing all the damage. So generally speaking, you know, because it's percentage based, putting it on a heavy health hero can definitely make a big difference. and giving them more health. So we'll throw it on him. We really don't care about Baldwin's crit chance and him being able to take an additional hit or two. There's our 4th bit of food as well. So we do already have all of our food, even if it is slime mold. We can, of course, drop it later. So we are coming up onto the creature den here. So I'm going to take a look at our abilities here, just because this is a particularly difficult fight. So some things I'm going to probably throw on here. I'm going to switch out Hue for Purge. I think it'll be very useful for us to have the ability to remove corpses, especially if we start kind of peeling off the front ranks. We're going to want to be able to hit the back ranks and pull them forward, disrupt them as much as possible. Bellow is going to be very useful for us here. And I think that's probably a good call overall. I wish we had more AoE abilities. We unfortunately do not, and that's fine. We might end up using Intimidate here, or sorry, not Intimidate, Revenge here a little bit just to generate some of those strength tokens. We'll have to see. We don't have anything that we can equip, unfortunately, though, so we're just going to go ahead and take the fight, assuming that everybody wants to take the fight. Of course, we get a candle here. We don't care about the candles. So, interesting here. Giving them food will give them Blight. That is an interesting one. The problem is with taking this is we lose 2 of our food. We give the enemy a... This doesn't guarantee that the Blight will land. It will apply Blight, but the enemies can resist it. And if we get a bunch of worms or we get a bunch of spiders, which are the 2 more likely enemies here, we're probably just going to end up giving 2 food for nothing. So we might as well just take the regular combat. We do also have a run option, but it doesn't look like he cares that we do take the fight. He just doesn't really want to do it. So we're going to go ahead and go for the fight. We get a relationship plus here. We don't get the Blight. Maybe on the Nasher it would have been a good idea, but again, generally speaking, that really would have just taken food, and I don't really care for that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to take the dodge off of this spider. The spiders are probably our highest priority targets right now. The Nasher is annoying, but the spiders can be run ending, particularly if we get stunned and blighted way too much, which is something we want to avoid. Alarpa did start with double blind. That's not great. This Weber goes, and then Baldwin goes. So I would normally just go for the blind removal, but getting rid of the spider while also getting a decent heal is probably just our best option here. And then I'm going to go ahead and Intimidate. Use this to remove both a dodge token and a blind token, while also just forcing all the damage into our leper. And then we go from here. So next thing we're going to want to do, it does pay to note that early on in Region 1, these carrion eaters, which are the smaller worms, will not eat corpses. So don't rely on them wasting a turn to eat a corpse, or, you know, don't worry about it, whatever the case is. It's just not going to happen, so you don't have to worry that. I'm going to go ahead and Encore here, just so we can get that take aim. We haven't really been using it much, but it is a powerful ability. We can get ourselves a nice amount of damage here. We might even be able to kill if we're lucky. Unfortunately, we won't. But it is a good amount of damage. We could also go for the Grape Shot Blast to do some damage to both of them, while also removing a dodge token. But the Nasher is just going to reapply that dodge token right away. So we're just going to go ahead for the big hit. And then we can remove the worm from being a threat pretty early on here. I'm just going to go for the Intimidate again. It didn't work super well, but we weren't able to hit or guarantee a hit, honestly, anyway. So this is fine by me. 3 to 6, we will be able to kill him here. There we go. So our leper's looking a little rough, but he does have the ability to self-heal, and we do have some ways to remove some of these things going on with him. That Daze is an unfortunate side effect there. Now, this will only steal 2 tokens. He does have 3, so is that worth it? I'm not sure. What I do think I'm going to go for here is just give him this little heal, just to remove some of that damage he's taking. And then, yeah, let's just go for the highway robbery. He does get to keep 1. He probably will generate another. But we do get a disease resist there, which is good. Let's go for the bellow. All right, so leper looking a little rough for wear here. Let's go ahead and use Solemnity here, just to give him that heal up. Unfortunately, I don't have a way to remove that dot in particular, so he is going to be eating that for another 2 turns, but this is something that we can deal with. Let's go for the more damaging ability here, which is that. And we won't be able to get a kill here or anything, but we will line up for a little bit of healing if we wanted to go for it. We could also use command here. Let's take a look at our options. We could use defender to stop him from getting even more blight thrown into him, but he does actually have his blight resist increased right now. I'm just gonna go for the damage. It's not much, but it's something. Oh, he went spit into the back row. Okay, we did resist there, which is great. Unfortunate blind, but hey, what can you do, honestly? 1 damage here is actually enough to get a kill, while also giving us the intimidate perks, so let's go for it. We're getting very lucky with those. Resists on the disease, so. Now, our leper is not looking great, but we do have 2 adrenaline tonics that we can utilize. So we should be able to get him healed up decently. I'm not super worried about it. This will give us a 23 heal. But I'm going to go ahead and do this and then let the leper heal himself with Solemnity. We've already used one of them, but that's fine. So let's go ahead. We could use the Adrenaline Tonic so you can keep the Solemnity. Of course, Adrenaline Tonic is worth a lot. I'm just going to go ahead and use the Solemnity. That's kind of a free item in the sense. Of course, we do end up using it, right? So we won't be able to use it in the second wave, but we do have the 2 Adrenaline Tonics still. And if I can save those for later, depending on how the next fight goes, it'll definitely set us up pretty well. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to take advantage of the fact that we're going to get a free bit of time here. I'm going to go ahead and set up Revenge right now. Now let's go ahead and encore the Man Arms here. We're going to use his Bellow ability to peel off as many of these tokens as we can. It is a quad dodge, but hey, that's 4 tokens that we've now removed. And we can remove 2 more by using this. So now we've gone ahead and removed as many tokens as we really can early on here. Thankfully, they didn't go for the webbing, which is pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and defend one of our squishier heroes, just to stop them from getting a bunch of blight thrown into them. Will also give us some block tokens there to eat some more of the damage. Okay, Leper looking a little rough for wear again, but this is okay. We're still doing all right. Let's go ahead and remove one of the spiders. I'm going to try to save those Adrenaline Tonics until we absolutely need them, so. Not going to be able to do too much damage here, but there's the web.
Stumbling and stupefied.
An unfortunate stun there, but it is what it is. What is his stun resist? Only 50%, so it's not amazing, but still pretty good. Now we can go ahead and remove this guy. So our leper is absolutely doing the work here, removing all the enemies bit by bit.
Can rely only upon each other.
Man at Arms is eating a bit of damage here, unfortunately. We'll try for the blind. If we get lucky, we get lucky. If not, we peel off the token. And go ahead, just taking the damage. There's another spider down. Fortunately, that wasn't the spider who has a turn. Okay, so unfortunately, I'm gonna have to use the healing tokens that we have. The reason, or we're not gonna get much healing or any healing on the road, and we do have some scary fights coming up. So while this is maybe not the best use of these, it is going to set us up so we don't have to worry so much about our health after this. We'll go ahead and use this Adrenaline Tonic too. That's why we have these items. Never be afraid to use items. It can be good to try and hoard them if possible, but you do also need to make sure you can survive. And surviving is the name of the game right now, so. We come out of this looking all right. Our stress is okay. Our health is in good condition. We did end up using quite a few of our healing items there, but that's nothing to complain about. Got a hero goal there that we don't really care about. Let's go ahead and drop that candle. So we've got the Chitness appendage here. This will discount combat and items, which is good. We want to make sure that we're taking advantage of every cost savings we can get because we don't have much money right now. So unfortunately, we don't, like I said, we don't have much money. We are going to be unable to make too much, to get too much out of the hospital. We have nothing on the way that's going to give us money besides maybe some road debris. And we are going to get 2 loathing if we go this direction, into a fight and then into a lair. But if we go the opposite direction, we lose. The traveling heal doesn't do anything for us, so that's fine. But the hazard will remove our block tokens, and that's something I'd rather have starting off at the lair fight. So we're going to go for the hospital. It is unfortunate we're going to get 2 loathing out of it, but this will lower some stress. You might be able to buy some healing items at the hospital, which are definitely going to be things that we want to take on the Leviathan with if we feel comfortable getting to that point. Again, it all depends on if we get to the first 2 fights and we feel okay and comfortable to continue. So all right. So again, unfortunately, we can't afford to remove Fragile. We're very close to being able to, but we can't. And that's just the way that the cookie does crumble. So some things we might want to think about here. We could use holy water to remove blindness on the leper. We don't have much money. We can basically afford 2 combat items. So I'm going to take 2 holy water here. I think if we're going to go against the Leviathan, it's good to have some items. We're not in the best condition here, right? Like yeah, unfortunately, we're not looking great. We may not take the Leviathan on here, but I always like to plan as if we're going to do it. Just so that way, if it happens, it's something that we can kind of work around. So here we have an interesting gaunt fight. My priority is probably going to be this urchin, so I'm just going to go ahead and echoing march him. This is going to disrupt him as long as it sticks, which it does. Stop him from getting off his big crit attack. I'm also going to go ahead and just take the take aim. And we'll go ahead and give the command here. This will remove. It's worth it for the double blind removal. Now we're going to take some hits here, but probably nothing too crazy, assuming we don't get diseased, which, hey, you know what? You say anything and it starts, right? So unfortunately, we got cholera. That is a very annoying disease to get. There's a 33 crit, though. We're going to be needing you to do lots more of those, buddy. That's going to start us off with days every round. Very annoying and extremely detrimental, unfortunately. It's unfortunate we got landed with a crit. Let's go ahead and remove the urchin there. The Man-at-Arms is already a slow hero, so I'm not super, like, it's not going to be extremely detrimental, but the reduction in his healing received is definitely going to be a pain. All right, we're going to go ahead and Echoing March the Widow here, just to start pulling her forward, though she resisted that. That's okay. Still be able to do a good amount of damage here, and we can use Purge here to just pull the bodies forward. And get her within striking distance. Oh, we didn't get the kill. Damn. There we go. Man, that was not a great fight for us to take, honestly. But it is what it is. Bouncer's Belt will give us healing received. This will basically help negate cholera a lot while also keeping us, like, we're still not going to move from it. And we do rely on his self-healing, so definitely something to take advantage of. I'm going to go ahead and split this. If you want to know how to split stacks, you use V. Just hold V and then click on the stack and you can split it. It is useful information for sure. So again, we are having to think about the lair fight coming up here. We won't get any healing between the lair levels. And, you know, we're still not getting any of the thing about this Torchlight is we're not getting any of the effects from it right now, like the plus damage, because it needs to go lower. But the enemies are getting the effects from it, so that's something to keep in mind. So let's take a look at our enemies here. We have the 2 bosons. These guys are very disruptive to your team, but the benefit is that they're both in the front. So the way the boson work is they can move your team back or pull them forward, but they can only do so to the rank. So if they're in the front 2 ranks, they can only push back the front 2 ranks. If they're in the back 2 ranks, they can pull forward the back 2 ranks. So because of that, these 2 guys can't really be moved. So they're really not a huge threat. They do deal a decent amount of damage, and they can stun, which is always a problem. But I think we're just going to go ahead and focus on these back rows if we can. It's a great crit. These guys, these Wharf Rats, have a built-in stress dealing ability. which is very annoying. So, not too worried about Heave Ho. Like I said, we're going to be able to resist those moves. Sucker Punch does bleed.
Accumulation.
Let's take a look at the damage here. 8 to 16. He has such a wide range of damage, doesn't he? It's always crazy to see.
Empowered.
So I'm going to go ahead and use Bellow here. Since we're going at the end anyway, we might as well slow the enemies down as much as we can. Can make a very big difference in the enemy's ability to get much done. I kind of want to save that combo for the Mana Arms, but is it really going to be worth it? That Warfrat's going to go. That Boson's going to go. The Mana Arms can probably... This Boson will go before him, though, because of the days. So is it worth it to keep him alive for a little bit of a heal? Or do we just go for the kill here? I say we just go for the kill. I think I might use Purge here. That's a pretty heavy damage for a Heave-Ho. We might actually go ahead and use Solemnity just to get ourselves healed up. We do have to think about the fact that we will not heal in between these rounds, so we do have to keep that in mind. Yeah, at this rate, I'm thinking that the Leviathan may be just a little bit out of our wheelhouse right now. That is a lot of damage that we need to be able to do to him, and we're not really great at dealing damage right now. So, go for the blind here and hope he misses. I don't think we've had a single blind stick yet and actually do what it's supposed to do. Let's go ahead and we'll just Purge. This will still keep him in the front, but it will allow us to focus fire these front two guys. Yeah.
Cooperation is the key.
Without some very big heals here, unfortunately, I think we are at the point where taking on the Leviathan would most likely end the run. And that's okay. You know, understanding the risk in this game is very important. If you don't understand the risk and you don't make the changes to your combat and your strategy as you need to, you're going to end up in situations where you just end up getting killed way too easily. So I am going to take the next fight. This may be risky, but it does give us double the rewards, and we do need the money right now. So this is risky. This is a rough fight. We have a captain and we have a fishmonger, so definitely problematic here. The fishmonger is going to be able to take a good amount of damage. Now, the question is prioritizing who do we move forward here. The fishmonger gets double damage, right? She can hit twice and she can crit. Now, the captain can do all hands on deck only if he's in the back, but otherwise he's just going to deal a lot of damage. I'm going to go ahead and try to focus down the fishmonger. So I'm going to go ahead and hit her with Echoing March. It's going to pull her forward, which makes her much more vulnerable. I'm going to go ahead and take aim here. Now, unfortunately, this does put a boson into spearfishing range, which was something I maybe should have considered. I'm actually going to go ahead and use this holy water. We need to be hitting the damage here. And let's go ahead and use command. Let's just have our leper smack for all the damage he's possibly able to, and we'll get that instant kill. And that's great. That's a lot of action economy removed from this team because of the fact that she has double actions. All hands on deck here is going to give dodge and crit most likely. And depending on the speed here, unfortunately we don't get the dodge. We do resist the stun though, which is big. That is a stun move. So let's go ahead and blind this boson.
Bravo.
It's a really good way to try and negate the crit as best we can. And you can also try to steal or just take the crit token, but we're also not really taking advantage of it then. Let's just go for this. We get the double crit, can potentially heal some stress. It doesn't get a kill, but hopefully we miss here. Lovely. Great. Love to see that. Get the kill here. So we're looking okay right now. Fortunately, the captain will get his smack in. Captain does deal a good amount of damage with Keel Haul, so it is something to keep in mind. Let's go ahead and bellow. Let's try to slow him down. We get the -3 speed. That's great. And let's just get rid of these block tokens. I could go for the damage and also... Honestly, probably should have just gone for the damage. If it's only one block token, it's honestly better to just go for the damage, because even if it's 1 damage, I would have still peeled off the token and done damage instead of doing no damage, and didn't really set me up for anything, right? So I'm not going to go for Echoing March here. And the reason being is the leper is probably just going to use Purge. So we'll just go for this and just go for a nice big hit. I can potentially kill here, but it's not going to do much for me. Bolster isn't going to do much either. Don't know if that was what the right call there was. Let's make sure we use Purge. Pull these guys forward. Okay, we may lose the run right here and there. Thank you for surviving that. Wow, that was an unfortunate crit. Do we have anything that'll heal? Nope, we do not. So, we just go... The boson is down. I'm going to go for the Intimidate here. So that way we get the taunt up, so that way he keel hauls into the leper. Obviously, we're definitely not taking on the Leviathan now. So at this point, we're in kind of risk mitigation mode. We need to defend our man-at-arms as best as possible and just stop him from getting dead. We have no way of healing him right now, so besides using that combo, but he is dazed, and the captain's going to go before him, so we don't try to use it. This could also daze the captain. It did not. There we go. Dead. Okay. At least he'll heal off Death's Door. It's a great selection. I really want Lashing Tides. I think that'd be very helpful with healing items. We also... Oh my god. Of course the game is going to tease us with some really good items. Undeserved Commendation, giving him the additional health, and also giving his command skills the chance to give crit while in rank 2, which is where we're playing him. This is a very, very good set of items here for us. But unfortunately, we're obviously in no shape to take on the Leviathan. And as much as I would love to take it on, we can't force ourselves to do it and die. I'd like the run to actually potentially survive. And we're already not in great condition. We're going to go ahead and take this Oasis, though. This will give us a mastery point, which is something we definitely want. We only have 1 mastery point right now, so that'll at least give us 2. That does increase our loathing quite heavily. But hey, you know what? We make the best of a bad situation. That is how the game goes. Drop these candles, get them out of our way. Get the Oasis here. Hopefully we get a good selection. Wow, this one we get double supplies from, so we're going to go ahead and take that. That's the Rummager quirk there. So we get lots of mineral spring water. In fact, we get 7 of it because of the benefits from the Stagecoach upgrade. So we can get multiple stacks of 2 of it, which is great. And 1 stack of 3. And that has set us up very well with some very nice healing items, which will definitely be useful, especially in this cultist fight coming up. We're going to lose our block tokens here. We get no road heals. Oh, actually, we did get a road heal there. Actually, I have to wonder if the heroes gain plus 50% traveling heal. You know what? I think that this kind of negates the torch just a little bit. Probably gives us a slight chance of healing on the road, or at least a very, very small amount of healing on the road, assuming that we have all of our wheels up. So that actually is maybe something we need to keep up. Who knows? Okay, so let's take a look at our threat mitigation here. We could go for a blind, we could go for removing the altar, and generally speaking, that is something I like to do early, is remove the altar. It gets rid of the negatives that come with that, though we could focus down the front too, as well, and get rid of the damage that they're dealing. And right now, man, the damage that they're dealing is not going to be a fun amount of damage. I'm almost tempted to focus down the Evangelist. This isn't normally how I play this, this initial fight. I normally remove the altar first and then focus down the Evangelists, but I think we need to get rid of as much damage as possible, because these guys are going to bleed us into tomorrow, and we could very well lose right here based on their ability to bleed us. So only 2 healing from that because of reduced healing. Oof. Oh man, a natural crit to start us off. Already in risky waters here, chat. Already in risky waters. I would like to remove at least one of them pretty early here. Let's go for the Grape Shot Blast. 3 and 3. He's got 6. He's got 10. Okay, we've removed one of them. We do have a nice little crit token here, just causing us some problems. Went straight into Nocturne Commune, which is good for us. I am going to go ahead and Solemnity here. And Bellow. I wish we had upgraded Bellow to deal with that crit token. Fortunately, we of course do not. Let's go for the blind at least. A great crit though. Love to see that. And we can do this, and that'll remove her crit tokens, and that just makes her much less of a threat. Thankfully, we did that, because that crit token combined with that strength token would definitely a very scary enemy make. Tempted to purge here. If we can land the purge, it's going to put her out of position, and that's good for us. She's going to do one of... Oh my goodness. The natural crits right now definitely not helping our cause here. Let's go for the little heal that we're getting. Oh, do we get any healing from this? We do. We could also just go for the command. Let's go for the command. The daze does not stick. Let's see if the blind will. Oh, great crit. I love to see that. All right, we're still alive. Let's go ahead and remove her. And now we're going to focus on the altar. The Cherub is really not a huge threat. He can do some chip damage and can maybe get lucky, but removing the altar is going to be our biggest requirements because we don't want to get Azoic End hitting us and smacking us down. All right, there goes the altar, and now we can focus on the Cherub. All in all, I think we managed to do that pretty well. We were able to, again, it's all about understanding what your biggest threat is, and right now, having our two, big damage, or our tanks basically at 0 health and no way to heal them, we needed to remove the damage dealers as a threat immediately, so... And we go ahead and get Stained Heart, which is actually very good for us. Stained Heart basically makes us immune to dot damage. It replaces dot damage with raw damage, and that's actually very good for us because essentially we can't deal with the Bleed, Blight, and Burn. We have no way to remove those outside of using items, but we do have ways to deal with physical damage, at least slightly. So I think that's going to be very beneficial, probably on like our Man-at-Arms maybe, or even our Leper, but I think Man-at-Arms would probably be the better option. So that's a good cultist find. And we survived. Not great, definitely very scary moments there. We almost lost our Man-at-Arms. And I think we need to leverage the lower torch a bit more. We definitely want that damage. We want to be able to remove enemies as quickly as possible. It was some caltrops there, or crow's feet, sorry. And some money. So we do have a little bit of money. We have some items. We have all the food that we need. So the next thing we're definitely going to want to focus on is relationships as well. We'll take a look at that in the inn. And yeah, we did it. We survived Region 1 of this run. Pretty exciting stuff. I'm glad that we've made it this far. I'm upset that we weren't able to take on the Leviathan, especially when he had the right trophy for us. And, oh, I forgot that one of our heroes is named No Reynold. That's great. Take a look at what we get here. Lazy Eye on Barristan, that's fine. Cosmic Fearing on Baldwin is not particularly great, but that's okay. At least we didn't get Lazy Eye on somebody like the Highwayman. And so, yeah, that goes ahead and concludes this first section. We did a couple mastery points there. Look at that. Very nice. So I'm going to go ahead and end this part here. And we'll go ahead and continue this run in the next episode. If this is something that you enjoyed, this kind of shorter form no stream, no camera view of the game where I'm over explaining things. Leave a comment, leave a like, let me know that that's what you like. Let me know if you'd like me to change something up or what it is that you'd like to do. This is going to be hopefully an easier way for me to get more content out to everybody, and that way also, while I know the streams are fun, they can be a bit obnoxious of all the stuff going on, and some people just like to watch a little bit of Darkest Dungeon too. So if you're not already subscribed, do subscribe to the channel. It helps out loads. I'll see you all in the next video, and thanks for watching. Bye bye.